Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing good. Today's stream is a bit different. We're gonna be doing a podcast-esque type stream weekly now, where I discuss news from that week, as well as a discussion on a certain topic related to games. So I'll usually have the topic in the title of the stream, so you know what you're getting yourself into later on. So yeah, I guess we'll start now. We had quite a bit of news this week, actually. So yeah, E3 is back, which is kind of great. As we all know, 2020 it was absent due to COVID, so it made sense, like, why it was absent that year. And even the year preceding that, Sony was absent from E3, which kind of sucked. And they seem to be absent this year as well, which also kind of sucks, but I don't know. Sony's doing their own thing now. But yeah, cool thing. Completely digital, free to watch, which is nice, because I did hear some rumors a couple weeks ago that it may have been pay to watch, which would have been pretty bad. I don't think anyone would like to pay to watch E3, like digitally, especially. And we got a reveal for the companies that are going to be backing E3. So we got Capcom, Koch Media, Konami, Nintendo, Take-Two, Ubisoft, and Xbox. I was honestly surprised that Nintendo is here. I didn't expect them to be here. I thought they would just hold their own direct. But now they're here, which is cool. We'll hopefully see some good stuff from all of these. I'm especially looking forward to Capcom, Nintendo, and Xbox. That's where I feel like all the juicy stuff is gonna happen. Yeah, and we got a date. As always, it begins in June, from the 12th to the 15th. So yeah, typical E3, just it's completely digital now. So I'm pretty excited for that. Is a bit of a weird news topic. Capcom reveals some pretty uncomforting amounts of detail related to Lady Dimitrescu, which, yeah, I don't know how to feel about. So, they revealed details on the color of her clothing, so the shades of, like, white and cream and grey, as well as her underwear for whatever reason, skin and makeup. And they revealed her shoe size, which is kind of insane, honestly. 44 centimeters for shoes is, yeah, kind of scary to think about. I think they're actually going to be selling her shoes as merch, which, yeah, it's modern day Capcom. Moving on, Atlas celebrates their 35th anniversary this year. Congratulations to them. They have released many of my favorite games, and although I hate some of their company practices, they make some pretty damn good games. They tweeted it out in Japanese, and the American account, or the Western account, retweeted that with a thank you in English. So yeah, happy 35th anniversary to them. Yes, Pac-Man 99 was announced for the Switch. So this is, if you remember Tetris 99, it's pretty much that, but Pac-Man. It's a Battle Royale-esque game where you play Pac-Man against 98 other people, and you can use different skills and stuff to pretty much be the person leading. And yeah, I really enjoyed my time with Tetris 99, and I'm sure this will be just as fun. Yeah, similar to Tetris 99, it's exclusive to Nintendo Switch Online members only, which was kind of a given. It's pretty much expected at this point. Trailer was shown, which looked pretty cool, and it went live a couple days ago on April 7th. So yeah, this is a cool game to try out with some mates and other people online. Neo Replicant, version 1.224744877139 has gone gold. Still can't get over that name. On April 7th, the Neo Twitter account announced that the game has gone gold, which is great news. I'm very excited for this game. I absolutely adore the original game, as many problems as it has. I really enjoyed that game. And yeah, as always, we got some pretty weird stuff from the Neo account. A poll of whether the players were excited or not, with all the answers being yes. Yeah, sounds like typical Platinum Games Nier series type stuff. But yeah, very excited for this game. Deadly Premonition 2, Blessing in Disguise, is coming to Steam, which I kind of expected. The port was revealed in the latest annual report by Thunderfall Group, and it's coming out this year. So that's pretty exciting news. I mean, the original on the Switch didn't run all too well. I never finished it because it was, I don't know, it was just running at such a low frame rate that it was annoying me at a point, so I couldn't continue it. But I'm excited to hopefully try it out, and hopefully it's much better optimized for PC. So that's exciting news. This is a pretty big rumor and pretty insane. Hideo Kojima is in talks with Microsoft for publishing of his next game, which is interesting to say the least. According to VentureBeast writer Jeff Grubb, Hideo Kojima is in talks with Microsoft for publishing of his next game, which I think there were rumors of it being a horror game as well. So that's interesting. But yeah, we will probably, if this is true, we'll probably see it in E3, if not in the coming years. Because this is not something I would expect from Kojima. But it would be interesting to see what kind of game they could brew up with Xbox backing them. Next news, Resident Evil Showcase. This is probably going to be the last one before the game comes out, since the game is coming out May 6th, 7th, around there. So not too much longer. It's airing on April 15th, 3 PM PDT, so tune in for that if you're interested. Alongside this news, Resident Evil Village demo has been found in the PSN database for both PS4 and PS5. And the file size of the demo is 10 gigabytes according to mpfirst.com. So that's pretty massive for a demo. And I'm pretty sure if this is true, this will probably be announced during the showcase and will probably go live on the same day as the showcase. So, yeah. No More Heroes 3 got a new trailer, which is interesting. It was a very interesting trailer. It showcased new gameplay features as well as recaps on older games, and even shows the mixed Metacritic score for Travis Strikes Again, which was a pretty good sense of humor. It was a good video. It's like, I think, 7 minutes long, so it's pretty hefty. And the game is releasing sometime in August, so I'm very excited for this game. I absolutely love the first two games, and I've been excited for this since it got announced. So it's cool to see that they're doing some interesting stuff with the game. This was later announced after E3, being announced PC gaming show and future game show to be a part of E3, which is pretty much a given. It was a lot of people saw it coming. It was announced in a tweet, I think, and it will be held on June 13th. So that's the first day of E3. So yeah, pretty typical. This is pretty interesting, I feel. The Switch update, the latest Switch update, 12.0, adds support for Bluetooth audio drivers, which is cool news, because we always wanted the Switch to be able to have Bluetooth access. I don't know why it doesn't when it's such a portable device. But this was found by Yellow's 8, and whether it's going to be used or not is another question. I don't think it's going to be used on the current Switch model, probably in the newer Switch model, which is maybe why it was added in, like, probably for when the new Switch model comes out. It's ready for that. But who knows when that's coming out. You see rumors for that every month. This is an exciting one. Neil, The World Ends With You release date was announced, as well as a lot of new news, art, details. If none of you know the original game was released back in the, I think, late 2000s for the DS, and is a pretty interesting game, and is a fun one. It's got some interesting musical choices, an insanely nice looking art style by Tetsuya Nomura, interesting story, and fun gameplay. So it's really cool to see that this franchise is coming back with both an anime and a new game. And so a new trailer was dropped just the other day, and this showcased gameplay, cinematics, and a release date, as well as a PC port, which was interesting. The release was slated for July 27th for both PS4 and Switch, and the PC port will unfortunately be an Epic Games Store exclusive, which will release sometime this summer. So I'm guessing this is the deal that Square has with Epic at the moment. They did the same thing with the Kingdom Hearts series. All of the franchise was ported onto the Epic game first. It may be ported to Switch sooner or later, who knows. But yeah, it's kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. And this is the last news for today. Naughty Dog reportedly working on The Last of Us remake for PS5, which is... as many people on Twitter and the internet in general has conveyed, it's a very confusing choice. It was originally being developed by a different, smaller studio, but then was passed back to Naughty Dog. And it's interesting to see why, because for some reason Sony essentially refused the studio to work on the series because they're too small, which is pretty messed up, I feel, because they had their own vision for it and they wanted to do what they wanted to do, but Sony said, nah, we want to give this to a big company because it's a big game. Which in some ways it makes sense because it is a massive game. It would be a massive game. But at the same time, it feels like they're revoking works from smaller studios, which means that they won't get as much money or popularity or time to work on what they want to work, you know? Yeah, I don't know why Sony would do that. And alongside this news, a new Uncharted game is in the works, which Bend Studio was helping with until they were asked to be taken off, fearing Naughty Dog would absorb their company. That's another interesting piece of news. I didn't expect a new Uncharted game, especially since 4 was named the finale. This may very well just be a spin-off. Hopefully it is, because I've heard that the ending for Uncharted 4 was a good one. I haven't played it myself. I own it. I just haven't played it yet. But it's interesting to hear that they're working on a new Uncharted game. But yeah, this is a good segue into the main discussion for today, I feel. When is a remake necessary, essentially? This has been a topic of discussion for a very long time now. And again, it's a major topic due to The Last of Us remake essentially being announced. But first, before we get into all that, we need to discuss what the difference between a remake and a remaster is. I'm sure a lot of you know, but just in case. A remaster is mostly the same game with a few touch-ups from the original release. It tends to be how it looks. Usually it's graphically enhanced, and there are other minute details that are added or changed due to them causing problems in the original, or the new developers thinking, oh, this would be a cool touch. Think of maybe the 3DS ports of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. They have like new features because of the system it's on, as well as some touch-ups in the game. But mostly it's just a port or graphically enhanced version of the game. And a remake is built from the ground up, usually still keeping the core ideas of the original game, but is mostly a different game. In other words, like a reimagining. So I got in the corner a picture of Knockdown HD. That's a HD remaster, as you all know. And it's very different from, let's say, remakes, where we have these games, which are completely different from the original game. How we doing? I'm doing pretty good. How you been? But yeah, so as you can see, I've listed some games that are pretty big in the industry recently that have been remade. So the Resident Evil original trilogy. The first game was remade ages ago, but the second and third game was remade in the past couple years. And they were highly successful. And in some ways they were great. And in other ways it was, 3. Tuned in when you were talking about The Last of Us remake. You think we need one? Definitely not. I was going to get to that a little later, but no, I don't think we need one. I'll get into that in detail a little later, but yeah. Pokemon Gold and Silver got a remake quite a while ago, which was pretty damn great, honestly. Yakuza 1 and 2, which are, in a way, great, and in some ways not as good as the original, but that's what tends to happen with these remakes. Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Final Fantasy VII is a massive big one recently, as well as Demon's Souls. So with all these games, we see major differences in terms of graphics, aspects of the game like gameplay. Like Final Fantasy VII went from a turn-based game to a pretty much action RPG. And the same can be said about maybe Resident Evil. It's got a different feel to it, the control structure, the way a game looks. Doesn't have set cameras anymore like the older games do. And it looks much better. I think it's super silly when companies want to remake games from PS3 360 era up. Yeah, I feel that. There are some uh things that some games that I feel deserved a remake from that generation. Like Demon Souls had a lot of problems on the PS3, and it kind of needed a remake. The same can be said about Nier. It both of them are amazing games, but they kind of needed a remake because they had a limited budget, limited amount of employees to work with, uh, and I feel that that's why those games specifically needed a remake. But like, let's say The Last of Us didn't really need a remake because it was ported onto the PS4. The gameplay still holds up, and it could have just easily been ported to the PS5 if they wanted to. And even if they didn't, they can just play the game on the PS5 because of the PS4 backwards compatibility. Demon Souls was jank and still is in a good way. Yeah, I agree with that. It's a phenomenal game. And here are some recently announced games to be remade. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl is a pretty big one, uh, which has gotten a pretty mixed reception so far because of the chibi look to it. But we'll see. We'll see how the game is once it comes out. The Last of Us, obviously, is the big topic of discussion. Nier Replicant, which is one I'm very excited for. Resident Evil 4, which is... It's one of those games that holds perfectly well, even on the GameCube. It's like perfect the way it is. Even with its tank controls, it's such a phenomenal game that doesn't need to be remade. It's like aged so fucking well that I don't think it needs a remake for even another 20 years. RE4 is one of my favorite games of all time. It hasn't aged, but I'll take a remake, I suppose. Yeah, the original's always there, I guess. I'll obviously still play the remake. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it, but it's just the original holds up so well. It doesn't need a remake anytime soon. Oh yeah, Pokemon Snap as well, which is pretty exciting, honestly. The original game was made a long time ago, so... Although I'd love to play RE4 in first person. Yeah, that would be kind of weird to play. It'd be weird not seeing Leon. So, why remake a game rather than remaster it? This is... There's not really much to it. It's just game's mechanics are outdated. A game's look and feel is outdated. Original vision was not met due to budget restraints, as I was saying with Demon Souls and Nier. That was the case, I feel. And here's the big one I feel nowadays, hype, intrigue, and money. That tends to be the way most companies go about it nowadays. Since original games, they're like fan favorites. Everybody loves them. There's a massive backing in the community for it. It's a very popular game. The reason they would remake it is not because it's needed, but more so because they want money from it, and they know that the fans of those original games will buy it regardless of whether they think it's a good idea. And I feel like that's a massive problem in the gaming industry at the moment, where a lot of incentive is not for creative liberties or visions, but more so focused on how much money they can make from it and how much hype they can garner. So it kind of sucks. But yeah, those are the main aspects I feel tend to make a remake work. So that's why, let's say, if we go back here, Yakuza 1 and 2 work so well because those games were made on a pretty tight budget. If you couldn't tell from playing it, it had a lot of like restrictions that they had to have due to not having enough employees, not having enough money for it. So now that Yakuza series is like a worldwide phenomenon essentially, they had the money to remake the first two games from the ground up, and that's because of money restraints, original mechanics not being dated essentially, and so on and so forth. I'm not one to buy into the whole remake scene, however I would kill for an Ocarina of Time Majora remake from the ground up. I mean, Majora's Mask is one of my favorite games of all time, so it would be cool to see. The original game still holds up pretty well, I feel, but it would be interesting to see what a modern vision of the game would look like. But yeah, those are the reasons I feel why they would remake a game rather than remaster. Because otherwise you would just get the original game, upscale it, maybe add some touches, make it a little more balanced sometimes, and just port it onto a new system like Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy X, some other games like Crash Bandicoot was originally remastered, and then shit, what was that one game called? Yeah, Nocturne HD. Most of these games tend to be perfect the way they are. They just get remastered because, you know, it's on an older system. It kind of needs to be remastered, otherwise it will be hard to gain access to the game, and then you find people putting it up on online on eBay and stuff for hundreds of dollars. Like, for example, Silent Hill. I recently purchased the original game for like $90. So that was kind of sad to see, because I love that game. I want to buy it, but the problem is there's no ports, so I can't. The value of the game is so high up because of that, because Konami refuses to remaster the games. And so I'm going to be doing the same with 2 and 3, and so I'm going to be broke. And this is all because some companies like Konami refuse to remaster these older games. Which is why I feel remasters tend to be much better than remakes, because it just allows the game to live on as the console generations live on. And so then we got companies like Nintendo and stuff like, oh, why are these people pirating? And it tends to be because they don't port their games onto, or remaster their games onto newer systems, and we don't have much of a choice. Otherwise, we would have to pay hundreds of dollars to get the original system and the game. I would kill for a remake, not gonna lie, for Silent Hill. It would be cool to see. It's one of those games that would be cool to see. I do agree with that. I always get my remake remaster terms mixed. Yeah, it tends to be like that, as well as reboots, which tend to get mixed in with remake. I guess a good example of a difference between a reboot and a remake would be the Devil May Cry that was made by Team Ninja, I think it was. That was a reboot, because it wasn't a story that was already told and was just remade into a like brand new system from the ground up. It was a brand new story, just with the set ideas of that original like series. So that's another thing that a lot of people seem to get mixed up. So, when is a remake necessary? I've basically already answered that question, but um, essentially most of what was stated in the slide preceding this one. And yeah, I don't feel other than that a remake is necessary. Because it's just the original games for the original games of remakes tend to hold up pretty well, except for maybe games like Final Fantasy VII, which have very outdated graphics and some outdated uh, mechanics. But other than that, it tended to hold up pretty well. But that game kind of needed a remake because of that. Because of some of its outdated mechanics and its outdated look. That was pretty loud, but thanks for the host, Sloppy. I forgot how loud that was, Jesus. No, it's all good. Thanks for the host, man. But yeah, I feel like, again, games like FF7 Remake, that was needed. But games like Last of Us was not, because of, as I explained before, it was on the PS3, ported onto the PS4, can be played on the PS5. It's definitely not needed. And the game mechanically still holds up. So it's not like they had any budget restraints or anything. Naughty Dog is a very wealthy company. They didn't have any type of budget restraints for that game. And so when you think about it, it's just like, what is the real goal? What is the real goal here for this remake? Is it because that original vision for the game wasn't fulfilled, or was it because of the because of the money? Which is a question I feel needs to be asked when a lot of remakes get brought up. Like games like Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, that was asked for. That's been asked for years. So we kind of all saw it coming. Was it really needed? That's debatable. I feel like maybe a port for the original games would have been better. Just touch it up to make it fit the Switch, you know? But it was asked for. A lot of people were asking for it for years, so Game Freak was gonna bite soon enough, and they did. Naughty Dog has already been burned at the stake over The Last of Us 2, so I mean, they might as well make fans even ever more mad. I mean, yeah, there's that, and then the fact that they're making a new Uncharted game after 4, which hopefully is a spin-off, because apparently Uncharted 4 was a pretty damn good end to the franchise. But yeah, it's just, Naughty Dog is weird nowadays. I miss the Jack and Daxter days. I want a new Jack and Daxter. I'm kind of looking forward to the Gen 4 remakes. I also think the art style looks fine, but that's just me. Oh no, I definitely am looking forward to the Gen 4 remakes, and the art style, I don't mind. I do feel like it could have been better, but I don't feel it's anywhere near as bad as a lot of people are making out to be. I feel like a lot of them are just complaining for the sake of complaining. If they make another Uncharted, I'd hope they go with making the main character Nathan's daughter. I mean, where else do you go from there? A fifth game, guys. Naughty Dog and Nathan's back, guys. He's actually back. Everything at the end of Uncharted 4 was a jape. But we'll see. Naughty Dog is very interesting with how they do stuff nowadays. Old man Nathan, come on. But yeah, I feel like what Naughty Dog should do nowadays is work on a new IP or go back to their roots and work on those more colorful games, which would be pretty jarring to newer fans, yeah, but I feel like it would be very refreshing for both their company, their workers, and their fans. So something in the line of Crash Bandicoot, Jak and Daxter. I feel like they should try and go back to that, and it would be interesting to see what they would do with it. I hope Nathan's daughter is a buff lesbian. Make them fans beyond belief. Yeah, Last of Us 2 was a very controversial game, as we all know. But yeah, no. I've said what I wanted to say about Naughty Dog's current state. And I've pretty much said what I wanted to say about remakes. I think at this point I want to touch up on the other news. So let's see. What was an interesting one? I don't even want to think about this one anymore. This was weird. This is very weird. I don't know why they went through all this detail. I know the fans are thirsting over her, but jeez, man. Yeah, Replicant, yep. I want to talk about this for a second. Hideo Kojima being in talks with Microsoft is interesting. I said this earlier in the stream, but what their last game was a Sony exclusive. So, well, it was originally a Sony exclusive until it was ported to the PC. But it'll be interesting to see what Microsoft allows them to do, because Death Stranding was received pretty mixed by a lot of people. A lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it. It's one of those games. You know why Capcom went there with Vampire Mind? Yeah. But yeah, it will be very interesting to see what Microsoft and Kojima do together. Will it be a first-person horror game like a lot of people are saying it will be? Or will it be a different kind of game? At this point, Kojima's like video game discography or video gameography is very interesting. So it could be anything. It could be any kind of game. Next thing you know, that Kojima makes a 3D platformer, makes the next Mario game or something. But yeah, this interesting topic. I'm excited for this, especially the fact that a Resident Evil Village demo was found. So I'm hoping to play that, hopefully stream it. But yeah, I'm very excited for this damn game. It looks so nice. It looks like a Resident Evil game that I would like to play. Ah yes, I actually wanna go to this trailer real quick because it's pretty funny. I wanna quickly show. Quite looking forward to RE8. Yes, it's gonna be a fun game. I'm sure. I mean, even RE7, I enjoyed my time with that. I thought that was a good game for like for what it was. Okay, so let's. This was a very interesting trailer. They showed some pretty cool stuff here.
today the 4th of July? If not, is the Empire striking back or what? Looks like things are gonna get weird today.
It just, it feels like typical No More Heroes, which is great to see.
I don't think they're here to talk, Master.
Oh shit! This looks like fun! Let me play!
You know how to take these guys down?
Beat him to fucking death!
Strategy is born from battle.
I'll take the one in the middle. Do whatever you want with the rest.
Let me have some fun! Fucking losers!
Let's go!
Start the game.
Seven is definitely good for what it was. Felt like they actually tried to go back to something more similar to traditional survival horror, which I really liked. People rag on now, but at the time, it was way better than what we usually got from RE. Oh no, definitely. I enjoyed it much more than 6 and 5. Yeah, so I want to quickly go to this part where they were talking about Travis Strikes Again, and the mixed reception it got on Metacritic. They actually showed the Metacritic page.
Travis has to fight video game characters, and he meets people that are like him. It's the kind of experimental game that'll get over for 10 years. Check it out.
I love how they go about it. It's, and then they even show a wiki page. Yeah, and there's the Madman pseudo. And then they gave us the release date, which they gave a while ago actually, which is August 27th. So, very excited for this game. Did you get the Switch ports of No More Heroes 1 and 2? I played the Wii version a long time ago, but never actually finished it. Yeah, no, it's definitely both games very good in their own way. I like the first one a bit more, but they're both really good. Hey, thanks for the raid, Fly. Don't know why it didn't pop up, but thanks. Okay, so going back to PowerPoint. Yeah, Switch update. Here's another trailer I wanted to show. The Order One's with you. This had a very, very interesting trailer. Let's get that one up. Thanks for the follow, Gypso. Greatly appreciated. Where is it? There it is. So we'll just watch this one. That's loud. But it's interesting to see how they went for a more 3D look compared to the 2D look of the original game.
Reaper team, this feels a little unsafe.
I have so much to live for! So many games to play!
So did your Zeptograms have time to process the mission? Oh, fresh out of the box, ain't ya?
Not yet. Not yet!
Our society won't fall to flotsam like you.
These babies are this season's must-have item.
Have a marvelous mañana.
Some interesting character designs.
Just doing my reaperly job for once.
Do you need a smack to jog your memory?
Oh yeah, Coco looks so different. I don't know what happened there.
Greetings, sheeple of Shibuya.
And I think they got the original composer back for this game, which is really cool.
I fear it may already be too late.
When you mess up, at least make it interesting.
And so I think the gameplay is more action RPG oriented, which is cool. Yeah, we have like combos here and stuff. It's like a hack and slash.
Has no one told you the only way to escape the game is to come in first?
And let me remind you that you discs are in dead last!
The higher they climb, the harder they fall, the greater your spoil shall be.
You know what that means. We're going after the Ruin Bringers.
Until now. Now you show no punishment for hindering my pursuit of happiness. You'll rue the day you mocked me for failing to obtain that ES pin.
I don't know what's going on here, but I think this girl's got the wrong idea. My head.
I have to get used to how many characters there are in this game compared to the first.
I'm having some serious deja vu. This happened before. Can I make sure it doesn't?
You've got some pretty big shoes to fill here in Shibuya.
What did Susie K call him again? Neku or something?
Come to think of
Oh yeah, Neku was mentioned, which is really, really cool. I'm interested to see how Neku comes back. And I think that's him.
Target acquired.
Yeah, that's him. I love how 2000s the style of this game is. What's the game called? Yeah, there it is. But yeah, the look and feel of it. They went for a 2000s approach, so it's pretty nostalgic. So I'm happy they went to something like that. Okay. Back over the PowerPoint. Yeah, I've basically talked about all I want to talk about on this episode. It's a bit shorter than I expected, but I'll probably switch the stream over to a game and continue from there. But yeah, thanks for joining in for the episode. I'm going to be doing this weekly, basically compiling all the news from that week and then having a main discussion on a certain topic. Like today we talked about remakes and when it was necessary.